So today we're going to be talking about finding leads and planning your week for success. Jump into a quick agenda here of what we're going to go through today. Effective lead generation. So we'll talk a little bit about how do I find leads and how do I approach leads. Identifying high potential leads. So where we're gonna dive into, like, what's that really mean? What are high potential leads? We'll go through strategic planning and organizing your week for maximum efficiency. This is really important because a lot of our partners are doing this as a side hustle, and I would say probably I would venture to say around 85% of our partners that are signed up as a white label partner are doing this as a side hustle. So really spending time planning out your week in advance, organizing and having a plan of how you're going to attack the week and fit in your white label, your new business, or your business if you've been doing it for a year. How do you stay consistent week after week so that you can get that compounding effect of getting those new customers? And I see we've got one guy on that's been with us over a year, and it's starting to compound effectively for him. And I think a big part of that is making sure you stay consistent week in and week out. Then we'll talk about priorities for effective follow-up. I think one thing that's important when you spend time and you got a good plan, if you don't follow up effectively, you waste a lot of effort on the follow, or you waste a lot of effort getting the leads. But if you don't follow up, you're unlikely to get the business. And then we'll finish up with just an open discussion. If you have strategies that worked well, that kind of resonate as we're going through this call, please share those at the end of the call, as well as just any kind of Q&A. Want to ask questions, and I can experience share from things that we've done in the past. We're happy to do that. So let's start with effective lead generation. So we probably have all seen this quote, fail to plan and you plan to fail. It's one of my favorite quotes, and it's especially important when you think about starting something new. So for all of our new partners out there, you get really excited about this business, you see the opportunity, but if you don't create a plan and execute upon that plan, you're unlikely to be successful. You're going to end up failing or quitting because you're not having the success that you desire. And so one of the things that we want to talk about when you think about creating that plan is setting some annual goals. And then we'll talk about this later, but break them down. And I've said this a lot on different calls. Take those annual goals and then start breaking them down. And we'll talk more about how to break them down here later in this call. Second is just daily activity, right? Even if you're doing this as a side hustle, if you plan effectively, you can plan out time every day to work a little bit on the business, even if it's only 30 minutes or an hour. If you have that planning, it's just like being consistent in the gym, right? If I don't put it on my calendar, I give myself a reason not to go to the gym. And you'll see in my calendar, I typically even plan out like my mornings, and I've gotten now where I'm pretty regimented in, like, I'm going to do my sauna session, I'm going to do my calisthenics, and I'm going to do my later workout, at least, my bigger workout, at least 3 or 4 days a week. And that's usually all planned out in my calendar before the week even starts. So really just having a good plan and then taking that plan and putting it into your calendar and using it as for daily activities. And then kind of third, to be effective in lead generation, you got to be obsessive about follow-up. I've hired great people that I thought were going to be really, really great, but they're just really bad at follow-up. So they had a great personality, likable, but they wouldn't do the activities to be successful. And a big part of that is not only the initial call, but making sure you follow up until you get the meeting or you get a no. Oh, one thing I want to talk about too. Most people don't realize there's a stat out there. The average sale is not made until you have touched someone 8 times. So you have to reach out and be in front of that person 8 times before the average business actually purchases from you. So think about that. I can make a phone call. I can send a Facebook message. I can send an email. I can walk in and introduce myself. I finally meet with them. I just made 5 touches right there. And maybe I get it then, but I probably in those first 5 had to call them 2 or 3 times to get to that meeting, which ends up being that 8th touch. Sometimes you have to have a follow-up call. The average for us, we do have a high close ratio on the first call, but the average typically goes on to that second call. want time to think about it, and you come back and think about the offers and things of that nature. So remember that when you're thinking about follow up. I always tell our team, you can't lose something you never had. So being persistent and following up is positive. All right, so let's talk about identifying high potential leads. Where am I going to find them? So first, what I like to do when I'm starting a business, and I've started many businesses, is like really figure out what is my target market. One of the challenges I think in this business that we're in is you have lots of targets, right? We really look at the software, it can fit just about any business. In the early days, what I focused on, and our team still focuses on when we're selling direct to merchants, is food service and retail. That's really our bread and butter. We do have other industries that we've kind of called on and fallen into while we're out walking indoors. But really, when you look at our target, it's restaurants and retailers. Now, being that target helps us become an expert in helping restaurants and food service businesses. And when I say food service, it's really smoothie, coffee, um, um, casual dining, quick service, yogurt shops, you name it, anything food service. And so pick a couple industries. I'm going to recommend that that's just a natural great industry for our product. And I really recommend going after that industry because the restaurants tend to pay a lot more per location on average as they grow. And they're highly visible, right? You can see where all the restaurants are. It's easy to walk into when you're doing walk-ins out in the marketplace. And the product's just a great fit, and we've got great data from that. But if you want to go after different industries, absolutely pick that industry and focus on it and become the expert at selling to that industry. So where are we going to find leads? You have contacts, and you probably remember this in training. Some of this is going to be repetitive if you just went through training, but one thing that I recommend that a lot of people don't do a good job of is actually using your own contact list. And you can do this without being icky, right? You don't have to be salesy about it. Go through your phone. If you started a new business and do some research on the people that are in your phone, go on Facebook and Instagram, see what's going on in their life, and just reach out. Say, hey, how are you doing? We hadn't talked in a while. I noticed you had your new kid. I noticed you got a new house. Congratulate them on that, and just start the conversation. And then after you chat back and forth, you can ask for their help. Hey, I actually just started a new business, really excited about it. Do you know anyone? Do you know any like restaurant owners or restaurant managers or retail managers? I'd love an introduction. And people that like to help you. So likely you might have 5 or 10 clients sitting right there in your phone that you could get to. And you might not know that your friend has an uncle that owns a restaurant or a cousin that owns a restaurant. Second is LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. DMing people that are, I looked at my LinkedIn connections. I've done a lot of deals through LinkedIn. I've even got connected to major CEOs of big companies through LinkedIn. And it's just, I'm persistent, right? I'm coming up with ideas to reach out. If you actually have a business relationship with them, do the same thing you would do through text. Hey, if we hadn't chatted in a while, how are you doing? Just noticed that you got a new job, or I noticed that you did this. Look what's going on in their life. Be genuine when you reach out, and they're likely to help you. So that's kind of step one. You go through that pretty quickly, but it's a great way to go out and get 5 or 10 clients, in a very quick order just from the relationships you have. The second and the one thing we've done really since day one is we buy leads. We use Data Axle. And so Data Axle is what used to be Sales Genie. And you can subscribe to the Sales Genie platform for 1 to 3 months and then just get the leads you need that'll last you a year and then cancel. The way Data Axle works, you can literally say, I want to go after restaurants, retailers, and you build the list. It gives you the business owner's name, and it's very accurate. Like every once in a while, the name will be wrong, and you just got to deal with that. But it also, in many cases, has email addresses. And so now you're able to be more effective because you can create a list. If you're using a CRM, which I do recommend, you can upload that list, create tasks for yourself, and during that hour of time you're working each day or 2 hours or whatever you're doing, you can really focus on, being efficient, right? Because what's crazy is in an hour, and sometimes I would compete with my team. It's been a while, but when we do our blitz days, I jump on the phones and just prove like I could make 50 calls in, usually less than 2 hours. So I can literally make 50 dials. The reason is in most cases, I'm not getting a decision maker on the phone. So you just got to go through the numbers to get get the decision maker on the phone, have a good script, get the meeting. If you're failing at getting the meeting, well, then I need to go back and listen to that call. And what's great about some of these CRMs is it records it, like HubSpot actually records the call, and I can go see where did that rep make mistake, or where did I kind of fail? Why did I not get that meeting? And so your goal is to get better at when you get someone on the phone, being able to convert them to a meeting. So that's a great way to do it. Paid ads, I mean, you can get really specific, and Facebook's still pretty inexpensive. So you could set up a free trial version of your software, and be really highly targeted to the area. And it's a great way to get leads for, you're going to be paying for those. And there's going to be a lot of bad leads. That's just the nature of buying, of advertising. You're going to get lots of leads that are going to come in that you're never going to get on the phone, you're never going to get a meeting with. But it's definitely a great way to have them book demos with you, or even sign up for a free trial. So now that you got a lead, and you can do that either signing up your own Facebook account, or going to like Fiverr.com and getting someone to do it for you for very inexpensively. They can manage the leads for you. We actually have a firm that manages all of our advertising. They're a little bit more expensive, so I would recommend going to Fiverr, just because we do a lot of advertising, and we use a little bit bigger firm. But Fiverr.com, Upwork, great place to go to find someone to do paid ads, create the content for you, and track all that. And then third, and probably the most the way that you can continue to do it for free is just manual effort. I put the big weights on there. Google search, right? You can literally Google search on the Google map for restaurants. All of them pop up. You can just spend an hour, make a list, do some research, get the website addresses, just throw it in a Google Drive, Excel sheet, or a Google Sheets. Do some research if you can find the owner. Maybe have someone, you can even go to Upwork and have someone call all these places just to build contact information. And Fiverr's a great resource to kind of find people to do some of this manual labor for you very inexpensively. Social media search, right? Like once you've got their social media channels, and part of your Google searches, maybe you throw in the Facebook link and the Instagram link, and you start messaging those people. Canvassing, like we've closed so many deals, canvassing. The way our team canvasses is they typically, what they'll do is go out while they're performing meetings. And like, let's say I'm meeting with Judy at the coffee shop, and I had a great meeting with Judy. Maybe she signed up. If she signed up, even better, because I'm going to go around all the businesses around that probably have met Judy at one point or another. And I'm going to walk in and say, "Hey, I'd love to meet the owner. We're working with Judy over here, and thought that it might be a good fit for us to sit down and learn about how you're communicating with customers, how you're tracking loyalty, and how you're increasing revenue in the business." And it's a great way to get meetings. And many times, I've seen it happen. I mean, this doesn't happen on a regular basis, but there's been many times, whether it's me or a rep walks in the door, we walk in together, and they'll say, "Oh, why don't we meet now?" So we go out, get our kiosk from the car, and come back in, and we've literally walked in, got the meeting, and closed the deal all in the same day. Now that's an anomaly; it doesn't happen often, but the more you walk in, the more likely it is to happen. So referrals, as you get these businesses, it's a great way to ask, once you get the business, say, "Hey, do you know any other businesses that might be interested in something like this?" You can choose to do that in the beginning, or wait till you have a little success with them. That's kind of up to you. Yelp's a great resource as well. Open Table, the delivery apps, and then coupon magazines. I mean, these are all great ways to find leads. When you think about coupon magazines, what's great is they're telling you they want more revenue. They're already spending money on advertising. So I call them like, "Oh, I saw you in the Valpak. Love the ad. I've got some ways that I'd love to just share with you that can enhance that ad." And obviously what we want to do is digitize that ad, help them build their text club, and then also track that ad, because if they have it in a coupon magazine, we can now scan a QR code that activates the offer, drives them into the business to redeem the offer. Once they come in to redeem it, we know how many people activated the offer, how many people redeemed it, and we can help them easily track their current advertising. So let's talk about strategic planning and kind of organizing your week for maximum efficiency. So for me, it starts with like setting the bigger goal of what you're trying to accomplish and then breaking it down by monthly goals and then breaking them down by weekly goals and then taking it a step further by daily goals. And then once you get to that day, we want to have that on the schedule. So I live by my calendar, like by putting I even block out time when I'm working on a project, like the calendar is where I live. So for example, March goal, this is just an example. Let's say you want to close 4 accounts a month. So I would start off like, how many meetings do I think I need to get 4 accounts closed? Well, typically, depending on how good you are at sales, you're probably gonna need around 12 meetings. That gives you a 33% close ratio, which is average of what our sales team will do is in that 30% range. In the beginning, maybe you need 16 because you're still getting momentum. You're still kind of building up your confidence in the pitch. But set a goal. I need to close 4 accounts. So how am I going to close those 4 accounts? I need to get 12 meetings. How am I going to get those 12 meetings? I need to have 480 activities. So that could be calls, walk-ins, social media messages, emails, and etc. And put that on, and then you break that down to a weekly goal, which is setting 4 meetings, closing 1 account, and performing 120 activities. Well, then we break it down into daily goals. I need to perform 1 meeting a day, perform 24 activities. And when you think about that, even as a side hustle, having 1 meeting a day, whether it's through Zoom or it's in the afternoon after, if you're doing it as a side hustle after work, and then 24 activities, like I can reach out at night during my lunch break if I'm doing this as a side hustle. 24 activities will take you less than an hour. And so just making sure it's like I'm consistent every single day that I want to do it. I click goals here because we do have the goals sheet that we provide that can kind of help you track this for yourself. Where did it go? Well, it's not opening up. We do have that goal sheet that's part of the training. If you need that, just let me know. You can throw it in the message. I'll send it to you directly. But it allows you to put the goals in a spreadsheet, put the activities and track it by the day so you can kind of see your progress. I've always been a guy that I love visuals. I have a bunch of dashboards in our CRM, and it kind of helps you see, see kind of where you stand for the month, for the week, and for the day. And don't be so hard on yourself when you miss. I've set so many goals in my life that I've not hit. I just say, okay, well, why did I? When I reflect on it, why did I not hit that goal? Was it because I wasn't doing the activity? And then I say, okay, well, now I'm gonna reset, right? And try to make sure that I'm staying consistent with that. Oh, backwards. There we go. So let's talk about follow up. So now you've built your lead list. You're making calls. You need to make sure you have a really good strategy for follow up. You're setting your daily activity goals. You're setting your meeting goals. But you've got to really make sure you're doing a good job of following up so that you get the closes and all this work that you're doing does not turn into revenue. So number one is consistency. I've talked a lot about it on this call. Like, it's amazing if you just do things over and over and over, how much over time that consistency it turns into real results. And it's interesting. I'm getting older now. I'm in my 40s, and I've been lifting weights. Like I love lifting and working out, and I've been lifting since I was 14. And it's crazy. Even as I get older, you think you're going to decline, and maybe metabolically I've started to decline. But what's interesting about weightlifting is even in my 40s, because I've been consistent and there's not really been a week except for when I'm injured that I haven't worked out in 25 years, and I still get PRs. Like, I'm still getting stronger and adding a little bit of muscle on each year. Not only is because of consistency. I look at pictures of myself 10 years ago, and then I look at just the muscle of the mass of muscle just from doing heavy weightlifting each and every week for multiple years. So this business is no different. Like, you really need to focus on having that plan and just staying consistent and staying and make tweaks, right? I have a plan all the time, and I change the plan, but just be consistent with it. Second, use tasking in a CRM. Like, I've been in using a CRM for 20 years. I highly recommend using it to manage your relationships and to help you be effective in doing your follow-up task of making calls, sending emails, sending messages and things of that nature. So HubSpot does have a free version. We do have training in our Text Living University on HubSpot. The way we use it's far more advanced. We've been using it for 10 years. So, but you can start small, get the free version, load your contacts in there and create tasks and create notes. Like if you've ever noticed, like when you came on board, like you had calls with one of our teammates before you met me, and they made notes on that call. So when I jumped in, I knew exactly how their conversation went, what they learned. And when you're making tons and tons of calls and nurturing tons and tons of relationships, you need a place to kind of house all that information and quickly be able to remind yourself of conversations you've got. Again, HubSpot's a great tool. Just go to type in HubSpot free CRM in Google, and it'll pop right up. And then over time, you might decide that you want to advance and do more of the automated workflows and marketing with the CRM. And that's a more of a paid service, but it absolutely, as you build your business, I think you'll find it's worth it. And that kind of leads to the number three, which is you can create email templates in HubSpot, and then eventually you can do automated workflows. If you probably have had emails come from our company that looked very personalized, but they were actually automated. And it looks like just a regular email. It doesn't look like a marketing email. And so creating some email templates for yourself that kind of speak your voice is really highly recommended. And what it does is it increases your output without you sitting here thinking about emails all the time. Another kind of pro tip, I use Chat GPT all the time to respond to emails, to create email templates, to create email workflows. I mean, it is just incredible how good it will help you with the creative side. And like an email that would usually take me 20 minutes to really think through, I can punch the information into the Chat GPT of what I'm trying to get, and I can quickly gives me some good information. I don't use 100% of it, but I take it. It takes a lot of the heavy lifting away from me, and then I just edit it and I'm good to go. And then final, number four, just to be effective in follow up, you got to be persistent. Like I've never met anyone successful in business or sales that just is not naturally persistent because it's hard. Business is hard, sales is hard, and you've got to get through all of the challenges to get to that win, right? And that persistency is what you're going to need to really to kind of get you through that, to get that first client if haven't got your first client, and then get to the second client. And then it just gets easier, and you start realizing like, oh, the numbers are just the numbers, and that's what's so cool about business in general. It usually comes down to math. Like skill sets do matter, but at the end of the day, if I make enough calls, and I get enough meetings, I can't help but close business, no matter how great you are at sales. Over time, you're just going to get better at sales. But if you're not good at sales right now, you need reps. And I always talk about with people in our team, like, I'm not a basketball player. If I was to go shoot 3 points today, what would I make? 1 out of 20, maybe. If I went and shot free throws or 3 pointers every day for the next 30 days, maybe I boost that from 1 out of 20 to 5 out of 20. If I do it for 365 days, what could I do? You got to get the repetitions in to get successful at anything you do.